Okay, eighth grade. This week we are going to be looking at section X, one variable inequalities, and we're going to be working on 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8. First thing I'm going to show you is how you graph some inequalities. Um, X is greater than 4 would be represented by an open circle at 4 and then an arrow that goes to the right, showing that anything you put in for X that is greater than 4 would work. This one, we have X is less than 5. So again, I'm going to put an open circle at 5 because it's not included. And now this time my arrow goes to the left, showing me anything that I put in for X that is less than 5 would make this a true inequality. And then the last one, X is greater than or equal to 3. Here now we're going to put a closed circle at 3, showing that 3 is included because it's greater than or equal to. If it was less than or equal to, we'd also have a closed circle. Again, our arrow goes to the right because everything that we put in for 3 that is, or for X that is greater than 3, it would be a true statement. When you solve inequalities, you solve them just like you would an equation. Here I have a two-step inequality. 2x plus 8 is greater than or equal to 32. I'm going to subtract 8 from each side, and I'm left with 2x is greater than, or 2x is greater than or equal to 24. I divide each side by 2, and x is greater than or equal to 12. Now to graph that, I make myself a number line. And if I had 0, 6, 12, I'm going to put a closed circle at 12 and an arrow that would go to the right. Okay. Now my next example, here we have a negative 3x plus 5 is less than 20. So I'm going to subtract 5 from each side, and I get a negative 3x is less than 15. And then I divide each side by a negative 3. Now notice here the sign switches direction. Whenever you multiply or divide each side by a negative, the sign has to switch direction with inequalities. So x is greater than a negative 5. Okay, again, sign has to switch direction when multiplying or dividing by a negative number. Okay. All right, one more example here. M divided by negative 5 minus 11 is greater than or equal to 2. So I start by adding 11 to each side, and I get these two cancel. And M divided by a negative 5 is greater than or equal to 13. Now I need to multiply each side by a negative 5. And again, I'm multiplying by a negative, so my sign has to switch direction. And M is less than or equal to a negative 65. Closed circle at negative 65 and an arrow to the left. So if I had my number line here and I had a negative 50, a negative 55, a negative 60, and a negative 65. Closed circle, arrow to the left, showing me anything that I put in that would be less than negative 60. It would make that a true statement. Okay, so again, this week, we are doing section X, one variable inequalities. I don't think you'll have a lot of problems with these. It'll be a good way for you to end. The following week, then what we're going to do is we'll have a final on all of the material that we've covered since the pandemic hit. All right. Have a good week.